And bam, we are on. What's going on, everybody? It is your boy, Nick Moses, 05 Gaming Podcast. We are here, and I have two gentlemen with me, and I don't want to take the introduction from you guys. So please, I would like for each one of you gentlemen to introduce yourselves.
I'm Matt Lewis from Digital Yogurt, and I am the creator of ExtraGalactica.
Yeah, I am Dante Campana. I'm one of the co-founders of Ghost Street Games, and I'm dragging Matt through all this hell to make this game with him really well, you know.
So you know, that's good. You're dragging Matt through it. And Matt, like I told you, I'm relaxed. So a lot of these questions are going to be laid back, relaxed, man. Just go ahead and answer however you feel freely. So how did everything come about? I read a lot about, you know, trying to mix with the old school shooter and just having a combination of things all in one. How did the vision come about? I got to ask either one of you. And I see Matt, you said it's Matt's baby. So Matt, how did the vision come about when you sat back? You probably played some old school games, Galactica, a couple things, you know, and you said, you know what? Bam. So tell me about it.
All right, how far do you want me to go back?
You can go back all the way, man. This is you. Take it.
I was working in a t-shirt store, and I had no idea how to make video games. And there's a laptop there. It was a custom t-shirt store, and I started playing around. I took the laptop home, and I started making some little games. And I made this game called Burger Hill, and Burger Hill had a time traveling fast food restaurant in it, and in the back there's this old dusty ExtraGalactica arcade machine. It was ExtraGalactica or something, and it started off as like a side mini game, you know. In that game, my brother liked it, so we turned it into ExtraGalactica, and then we liked that so much we're like, let's build an arcade machine out of it. And now there's like a one-off version of that somewhere, and we're making this game to kind of commemorate that game. And the story kind of lays more into my journey with that cabinet.
Nice. Okay. So Dante, you come along in this journey. Where do you come along the journey? Because as I was reading from the Ghost Street Games website, I would just say, I seem to read a story about a teacher and student coming together. Okay. And that's very, you know, so Dante, where do you come along in this project?
So I work in QA on top of doing my indie stuff. And once I did my first contract in QA and I was able to actually start doing indie stuff, I formed Ghost Street Games with my business partner, David Kahlberg, who was my teacher at a trade school that I went to for audio engineering called Crass. And Dave's like, you know, teaching game audio there. So I learned a lot of this stuff from him, got along really well, really, you know, we understood each other pretty well. So, you know, as soon as I was able to start doing the indie stuff, I mean, Matt and I are both self-taught. So it took us time to make a few things that, you know, got us through the process, even if, you know, they weren't the most like significant things we've done in our lives. It taught us by building them, right? So our first two games for Ghost Street Games, Alien Tap Attack, which is just a nice little idle clicker game on iOS and Android. And then so like that taught me how to get from A to Z on a mobile game. You know, what do I need to do that, right? And I do Disco Drop, and that one I did all by myself. No editing assets like from other people or contracting anyone else. I did the music, I did the drawing, I did all the programming, and then took it all the way to market and, you know, ran myself through that gauntlet. And then at the end of that, you know, a lot of other indie devs or aspiring indie devs will know that there's a ton of Facebook groups for indie game developers. Nice. And there's a lot of collaboration that goes on in those. And this madman throws in a post one night, and I caught him a few minutes in because he was looking for someone to help him with a different project. Okay. And we go through the whole interview process, and Matt didn't pick me.
Oh, come on.
You see, I'm gonna be dragging him through that project later. He just doesn't know it yet.
Yeah. So,
because that's what he originally signed on for.
Yeah,
and then he's like, let's do the space shooter, dude. You know.
Yeah. So Matt and I traded games. We were like, okay, what have you done? What have you done? Show me what your quality bar is, and he showed me footage of, ExtraGalactica as it existed in that arcade cabinet. And he's like, oh, I don't really have like the finished session for this anymore. It was on the cabinet. We don't have that. So, what do we, I can't really do anything with it. I just have these videos. And I looked at the project he had started working on, which he later came to me for. So eventually he did pick me, right?
I did, yeah.
He came crawling back.
Okay.
But but we just honestly sat down and looked at both these games, and I was like, this thing is a sleeper, man. This don't doubt what you put together here. And so he found a session. It was very broken from like Unity 4. We are on Unity 2018 by then.
Yeah,
So just upgrading engine versions can be so destructive, let alone having an unfinished session. So we start digging into that, and we just start rebuilding this game piece by piece and then improving upon it piece by piece. And then we're like, okay, well, what does it really look like if we do everything we want to do? Yeah. Write it all down, look at it, see how it goes.
I still have a list that's like 3 miles long, but I'm just gonna keep his hair on his head. You know what I mean? Keep that hair
a little sane
on his head. Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. Matt had already done his Kickstarter. He made something great. I saw that. I loved it. I wanted to help him, get that to Steam. We got in. We found out we could make it even better. And that's our plan now. So there's a very stark difference between, we were even just looking at our earliest pre-alpha footage the other day versus our Steam early access trailer, right? What's on the Steam store, because it has to show what's in the game.
Very nice, by the way.
Right? Thank you. Versus what we're able to show off today, which is stuff that, normally is a little bit harder to show off in the store if it's not already out yet. You don't want to mislead people. You don't want to make them think it's ready.
Right.
So we were very excited to be able to share all this stuff with you guys.
No.
Yeah, man.
No, that's nice. And I will even say I watched the indie showcase, and I did see when you guys were in there. Okay, you guys were in there. Was a couple different ones, but I was like, okay, all right. So I was so happy to speak with you guys. Now, one thing, since both of you guys are just a wealth of knowledge in game development, I know I got a lot of people that just got game development questions. So one thing I want to say is, and I've heard this after multiple interviews, is time frame and how it extends. We get 1 year turns into 5 years, or 6 months turns into 6 years. What do each of you find to be the biggest hurdle in extending the amount of time it takes to have the project finish?
Life. Honestly, Matt and I run, Matt runs a business for his day job. I have a full-time job, and I don't feel like this past calendar year has really been nice to most anyone. So yeah, that's the hardest thing about it. It's just making it day to day, and that's why you do stuff like screenshots Saturday. You show off work, you try and let someone else see it, and hey, come take a look at this thing I just did. You'd be surprised. Anything that's a little fuel for the tank, it goes far.
I do some pixel art, and I just want to show it to people, man. I'm like aching to like just put it on Twitter and just see if, and then there's like 2 hearts, and I'm like, motherfucker. It's like I'm trying so hard, just like my pixel art, please. And today was a little different. We had a couple of people from the broadcast that I look up to. I do look up to Greg and Dave, and I think that was incredible to have the name of the game I was working on come out of their mouth. That's just, that's huge. That's huge to me. That's huge.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because I always wondered that. How does it feel? You get the, everyone thinks, what is it to have my name said, or my project, or whatever I created, and you guys had it. I was sitting there like, dang, okay, all right. So I want to say another thing, since we're talking about development things, is I hear a lot about Easter eggs. Now, I don't develop games, but I hear all these developers seem to always want to put Easter eggs in games. So this is going to be a two-folder. First, I would like to ask, is that something that developers do in every single game? Let me ask each of you that first.
I'm sure.
Yeah, if it's not visible to you when you're playing, it's somewhere in the code. We're just tearing people up in comments, if it comes down to it. It feels like it's cathartic, there's art imitates life, so you want to put your life in things, you want to put your jokes and stuff and your references, and so Easter eggs kind of manifest in that way. Right now we have an asset in there that is just a little background, little pixel art cat that just sits in the background. It's my cat though. If we're gonna draw a cat, and I have two cats that I love very dearly, then why would I not put my cats in?
Why would he not make me do it?
Totally agree with you. Why not? Now, I want to say now, Matt, because I want to go ahead and have you follow up on that. But now that he mentioned it, I want to say, when you're on that Easter egg and you're doing it, is it really tough to, and this is Dante, because I'm gonna ask you too, man. I want to know from both, but Dante, is it tough to hide these Easter eggs, or are people just really easy to fool?
Some of them
are really quick.
Yeah, you put them right in front of their face, but they might not know what it is. Those usually take the longest. We did a new, Matt, I'm gonna tease a little. I apologize in advance.
I tried to stay away, man. We're gonna take
we did a new 3D rendering. We recently released an update on Steam. And one of the things that we got a chance to do another quality pass on and really, improve was this 3D render that we have for our title screen. It's very beautiful. I'm very happy with it. And
my brother made that, by the way.
Yeah.
My brother makes all
your brother.
Yeah, man.
Props to him.
We had the opportunity to just kind of hide Easter eggs, and some stuff, was just a little off the cuff, whatever we could think of, but other things have a lot of meaning to us, and if you know, and usually those are the ones that stay the longest, because if it's obscure enough, then folks just won't know. But people are so nosy, they'll if you just take something that's obviously an Easter egg and hide it like your life depended on it, they'll find it. And if not, they'll find it 10 years from now, and it'll be a Kotaku article, so.
Yep. Like we needed movie posters for the subway scene in there, and some of those posters are just absurd things that I just kind of made real quick. And it's stupid, goofy names. There's like a shout out to my son in there, and you wouldn't recognize it, but maybe you will. It's in the intro cinematic. There's an arrow pointing directly to it, and
there's your breadcrumbs.
Yes,
there's your breadcrumbs. You can find it.
Nice.
So we do that, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I think people know that we're doing that, and they look for it, and they're not easy to fool. They got it. Everybody's on top of it.
Good. Now, talked about the game and the way it looks. The artwork, amazing. I'm sure you guys have heard about the artwork. So, who is the artist for this? Oh my goodness, man. And
I'm a tattoo artist. I'm a tattoo artist too. That's what I do.
I usually, I have soundboards. I usually drop bombs and all that. I cut it off for you guys especially. But man,
I don't get bombs.
You would have had 3 of them for that one, because that
in post.
Exactly. I impromptu. That was my fault. But I will say, amazing job on the art.
Thank you. Okay, I appreciate that.
That is the one thing that just, first of all, you see retro. I go, yeah, me, born in 83, my style. I'm up there.
Me too. Me too. 83, baby.
Nice.
All day.
Then I'm seeing the punk style. I'm like, oh, okay. I love it. Cyberpunk wasn't, but I love the punk stuff. Okay. Soundtrack, which, oh my goodness, opening cinematics. Just, oh, okay. And look at the art style. And it's gorgeous, man, gorgeous. So I'm glad to hear that, Matt, and we'll give you the props. And Dante, we won't give them all the props, okay? I'll take it off. We'll come back.
Some visual effects come from coding, okay? They're really sensitive.
Now, so let me ask, what would you guys estimate a full playthrough? Just a full, and I know it's an estimate, but if you had to give a full playthrough, and I know you guys are still working on a lot. So
I can tell you.
Okay.
I can tell you like what I was imagining it would be from a design standpoint, but for right now, we haven't put it all together in a way that we can run through it and kind of scale it and test it and you know, put it where we want it to be, but it wouldn't be a super long thing. It's not like a 10-hour campaign or something. There's permadeath to the planet. So the planet that you see in the background behind you, that's Celestro, and that exists. It persists through the whole game, through the shooter segments and through the platformer stuff. And you'll have space threats, and you'll have to go and embark out and take care of those and come back down and refill the planet's health by fortifying its defenses and stuff like that. And sometimes you'll have to decide whether you're going to do a side mission or take on this space threat that's kind of happening over here. And you'll have like a monetary or planet health thing, like where you're trying to balance, like, what do I do next? You know, like what could happen here. So
yeah, man. So I mean, whew, y'all just killing it, man. I want to go ahead, but you guys are just killing it, and your energy is. I thought I usually have the energy, but you guys got the energy. So
we gotta. So we have no choice, man.
So Dante, coming into this, I know you're coming into a project. I would like to ask, from a development standpoint, seeing someone else's work and knowing that you could bring something to it. How do you know something like that? Because I'm not a game developer. How do you know when you see something, you know, hey, maybe I could add something here. Maybe I could do this. And maybe that's where I could, you know, come in. How does that happen? And I mentioned, I know you mentioned Facebook groups, don't mean to cut you off, but those Facebook groups are excellent too, by the way.
Yeah. There's kind of two folds to it. Sometimes you're just digging through code and you look at it and you're like, oh, I just know a better way to do this.
Okay.
It's either going to be more efficient, or it's going to be a little bit more concise, or we're going to be able to trace all these different parts of something. Every mechanic has so many steps to it: initiating it, doing all the things for it, finishing it up, making sure it's interacting with everything else the exact way you expect it to. You know, you find places to tighten stuff up, and it just kind of, it's like you've got all of the string in there, but as you pull it tight, it just comes together more and more. So that's one fold of it, right? There's just when you're in there and you go, oh, let me just do this real quick, and then the yield on it is you know, worth the time. A lot of the other stuff, I mean, Matt and I talk endlessly all day, every day, you know. So we spitball all the time, you know. We ask ourselves the what if questions, you know, very frequently. You know, hey, we made this thing. How should it interact with the other thing? What if we made it do this? You know, where's the line? What's too much? You know,
Dante is my rock. Like, he keeps me grounded, where I'll throw like a trillion ideas at him and be like, bro, scope creep. In fact, half of the mechanics in the game, he preached scope creep to me. Bro, no, scope creep. I'm like, no, man, we need the holes to open up in the thing, and the boom boom, and we need the thing now. And he's like, dude, like I would overwhelm him nightly with, dude, I have an idea to do this, and it would balance this. And then, you know, we would go back and forth, and he keeps me grounded, dude. Otherwise, the game would have been a mess, honestly, because you would have had a million things. You wouldn't even be able to move without hitting something.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10, Matt will come in with an idea. I'll be like, unbelievable. How could you do this to me? Why would you ever? This is the worst thing you could ask me to do.
I gotta fight.
Come on, add it.
I'll the world will end for a moment. And then all out of spite, I'll just sit there. I'll be like,
okay.
All right, I guess let me see how it would look, and then I'd be like, oh, it looks pretty good, you know. And then I'll be like, okay, I made all the mechanics, you make it pretty, here's the stuff you need to look for. And then he'll do his little tightening, and then I'll do mine. And then usually by that, I mean, once we've iterated through something that many times, we're good usually. Yeah. It's usually pretty clean.
Nice. Now, when you mentioned adding features with Matt going crazy, I'm glad you mentioned that, and right on development, because one thing I think I could see being a huge issue is coming up with an idea, but adding things along the line and breaking it all over again and having to fix that again. Can you explain, is that something that really holds a lot of development back because you're constantly trying to hold yourself from throwing all these features into the game? Is that something that's common within game development?
I'd say that weighs on pretty much everyone. It's on some scale for any crew, any size. You just want to make something that you love and that you think other people are going to love, and you want it to have all the best ideas in it that it can have. And you know, so feature creep or scope creep, you know, that feeling of, oh man, at first we were just going to make this game that does this, but now it does all these other things and it's going to take way longer to make. And, you have to make sure that juice is worth the squeeze. And as long as it is, then you're usually pretty good. Getting over it with Bennett Foddy in like the beginning of it and all of his monologuing, he does mention, that game development is a lot like working with quick dry cement, and you have to go, okay, when do we break up something we've already built? When is it worth it? When does it have to change? And try and make those calls to the best of our ability.
Nice. So one thing I would love to know, and I'm sure my audience would love to know, what is the weirdest bug or the funniest bug that you've come across in ExtraGalactica? Because I know bugs happen where there's just so many weird things, but what is one that you just said, hey, Matt, run over here, look at what's going on?
I think that look, can I take this, Dante? I think that there was a moment where when we first created the black holes, right? They started to suck in an asteroid, and when it did, that asteroid spawned a mine, and the mine started spitting bullets everywhere, and it was just sucking it back and forth. We're like, Dante's like, dude, look at this bug, and I'm like, that's not a bug, dude, that's a mechanic.
That's
right
a
there.
Feature. That's a feature now.
And let me tell you, I lean heavily on that. That is one of my favorite moments in the whole game. It creates chaos. I love chaos.
So good.
Like I love the chaos. I want it to explode all over the place.
Yeah, do you remember when the black holes would suck in the background?
Oh yeah.
Because that was the early iterations.
It would all go in and then
everything would just fold in on itself and it's just gone.
I was thinking like a light tunnel or something at the time. I was like, if I can suck it all in, right? Let's go through a light tunnel and then pop it back out. But that's breaking up the gameplay for too long, like with what we were doing. So.
Oh my gosh, yo, that is the funniest bug I've heard in any interview. I'm sorry, and you know what? You're right, because something like that happens. I agree with you. It's not a bug.
It's a feature.
It's a feature. We're keeping that.
That happens in every team as well.
And then we figured out a way to control it. So now it's a controlled chaos.
Put some limitations on it, fine tune it, make it fun. Pretty golden from there. So yeah.
Okay, so now I'm gonna ask both of you, since both of you been in game development for a while. I'm sure E3s is something that both of you have probably been to previously a couple times. Am I correct on that?
Nope.
Oh my God!
We are teeny tiny. Nah, bro.
And you know what? This is my first E3. Okay.
Really? Mine too.
So I'm surprised to hear that, because
welcome.
Welcome as well. It's nice to
welcome. Yeah, here we are.
Yes. So hopefully, next year we could be somewhere. And if you guys are there, we could, it could be physically meeting next time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm going to bring a balloon, a couple of cakes.
Exactly.
I mean, a cake and a couple of balloons. Maybe.
Hey, I'll take a couple of cakes. Yeah, I'm about to say. No, that was good, man. And I really didn't want to take up much of your time. I wanted it to be just roughly around 25. But now, before I leave, and I could take each one of you, and we'll start with Dante. What would you say to everyone on my podcast listening? And we share right away on the podcast, YouTube, Facebook, all over. What would you say to get people interested in ExtraGalactica? And also, I did see it's currently can be bought for $14.99. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. We are in early access on Steam. Right now we have our infinite mode in there, which is our take on, token taker arcade games. It is our, as someone who did not grow up in the 80s, and, with Matt being an 80s child, we both kind of took our perspectives and we made something that would have been probably what we would have made as an arcade game. It is challenging. If you like shmups a lot, if you're really into shmups, then infinite mode should be a pretty good challenge for you, especially if you turn off. We have a feature in there called our barrel wave attacks, and by default, they should be turned on to automatically trigger if they need to. If you turn that off, the difficulty of this as a shmup goes significantly higher. So if you're really into those types of games, do that. Let me know if it's not hard enough. Baby, I will make it hard enough. Okay, I promise.
No, it's hard enough, bro.
Yeah, that is.
I crank it with auto deflect off, and I'm telling you, dude, this game, like, it will test you. It will test you. It's fair. But it'll test you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it, man.
And Matt, not just said that it will test you. And before I think this is last, 'cause I'm right on time there. Difficulty. You mentioned, about you crank it up. So you're pretty good at the game, but let's say someone's a novice. How long is the learning curve?
Well, we just made a tutorial for it. So that's something that we wanted to have. When we hit early access, we had to get it out kind of by a timeline for other things that were going on at the time. So, we just did it. We just wrote it out. But it's a little different when you play through it. It really makes you go through all these different actions so you can see it happen and not just maybe read it. So that's a big kind of like quality of life improvement for people who are new to shmups, new to this whole space shooter thing. Go through that. If you need to, run through it more than once just to make sure you got it all, get your key bindings the way you want, and you should be able to hone in on it. Use all the tools, shoot everything. There's only one thing in the game you don't shoot, So I think if you start, you'll just get the feel for it. That's my belief.
Nice.
I think by the time you purchase your second weapon system, you pretty much have a firm grasp on everything that's happening. And you're gonna have to play it for 30, 40 waves before you kind of get what's going on. And I'm at the top of the leaderboard with some ridiculous score, so I don't expect anybody to ever do that. I played the game so many times, but if you can beat me, you're doing something.
We're waiting
you're
for
doing
that.
something. I'm waiting for it, but you're doing something.
Yeah.
Nice.
Check that score out. Go on.
You said it, man. I'm actually gonna pull it up and I'm gonna have it in the video. So this video right here, when it ends, I'm gonna put the score so everyone can see the score. Right.
Don't show anybody how many hours I spent playing it.
Because
it's less impressive.
I'll blur that out. I'll blur that out. So we just only see the score. Okay.
Make me look hardcore as shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's the least I can do. It's the least I can do.
Thank you. It is the least you can do.
I love you guys, man. Now, Nick Moses 05 Gaming Podcast, Matt Lewis, Digital Yogurt, Dante, Ghost Street Games. Man, I appreciate you guys. I'm going to be seeing you guys, I'm sure, next year, E3. I'm going to stop the record now, but you guys, take it easy.
Have a good one.
Later.